We settled ourselves in a carriage with one other occupant, an extremely large man who introduced himself as Charlie Sullivan, a lad from Birmingham, who was most impressively sculpted, especially around the neck and upper arms. His moustaches were nonetheless perfect. His moustaches, he had multiple moustaches, like several all over his face. He had like some sort of strange, and every single one of them was pristine. It was like, you have an unusual amount of moustaches, sir, and every single one of them is magnificent. I asked what had taken him to New Orleans, and he grunted, "Boxing." "You fought in a competition, I interpreted?" "There was an exhibition," he said. "I won, third round knockout." I gulped. However, Monsieur Fogg's interest had been increasing sharply throughout the conversation. "You are trained?" he demanded, keenly, "or self-taught?" I've got a manager, Sullivan replied. "He tells me what to hit." Excellent, Monsieur Fogg enthused. "I want to hear all about it." I could not believe it. We had seen such a good proportion of the world, and here, on this train, something at last had piqued my master's interest. Boxing! Little did I know how the details I heard would come to be of use to me. We'll groom Monsieur Fogg some more as we make our way to Washington and New York. That Mr. Sullivan will go, I think, go very far indeed, Monsieur Fogg opined, as I brought him kippers from the dining car. Is that so? Oh yes, his description of the transfer of weight from foot to foot was very well understood indeed. Is he engaged in any fights, I asked. You could place a bet. An excellent suggestion, he forked a mouthful of kipper. You should fight him. I almost choked. He looked at me with surprise. Is something the matter? Forgive me, it sounded as though you said I should fight Monsieur Sullivan. Indeed, he forked another mouthful. You shouldn't be alarmed. I can teach you to box. I rolled back my sleeves. I'm sure you can, monsieur, I replied, and I am a quick learner. That has never been true, but I saw no other choice. Excellent, Monsieur Fogg put down his paper. I've arranged for a space in the guard's van. Come. When had he done this? I do not know. I merely followed, and there was Sullivan stripped to the waist doing his warm-up exercises. "Plus pour two," he greeted me with it through a thick leather mouth guard. "Sullivan," I declared meatily, as I removed my own shirt and began to listen as my master provided me some pointers. And then the fight began. Sullivan was a tough opponent, and if he chose to swing hard, he would brain me unless I defended myself. But he would not be able to slug on every swing. I would have to pick my moments to attack. To begin with, I have to learn how to fight. Oh my god. To begin with, I kept my guard up, matching Monsieur Fogg's demonstration from across the car. Just as Sullivan punched hard, the blow landed against my defense. I shook it off as best I could. A small crowd had gathered to watch the fight, and they murmured with excitement. "Strength and stamina are different," Monsieur Fogg called to me from the side. "Your strength will come back if you swing lightly, but your stamina, once gone, will leave you out cold." I nodded to show I'd heard. Sullivan's eyes narrowed. I jabbed. A quick, decisive move. While Sullivan made a quick jab, I overpowered him, landing a sting. We were both still lively, although he was faring a little better than me. "Watch it. The next swing may be harder," my master called. Next, I brought my defences up, once more protecting my face. Sullivan lifted his defences. We both circled each other nervously. Neither of us was badly worn, though he was looking better than me. "You will have regained some muster from that block," my master shouted, "so be warned." Sullivan's weight moved back. "He's making to swing," my master shouted. And I kept my guard up, once more protecting my face. Just as Sullivan punched hard, I caught the punch neatly. We were both still energetic, although he was faring a little better than me. I heard, rather than saw, the money changing hands. Spectators were betting on me. I saw Sullivan's shoulders move back. "He's making to block," Fogg murmured, "so don't swing too hard." Now it's my turn. I jabbed. A quick, decisive move while Sullivan snapped his arms up to block. I knocked him back a little. We were both still energetic, though he was looking better than me. I saw him shift up onto his tiptoes. I have not been instructed what to do in this instance. I threw a heavy punch. Punching all my weight behind the blow. Sullivan punched hard. I burst through his attack, knocking him back across the carriage. "An excellent hit," Monsieur Fogg declared. A little blood leaked from his lip. I could hardly believe it. I was winning. Sullivan was almost ready to drop. "You won't be able to swing like that again," my master shouted. Next follow up again? Maybe? Jab? Defend? Well, he's not going to swing heavy, so I don't necessarily need to defend. Jab? I'll do a jab. Next I jabbed. A quick decisive move. Ooh, I got a achieve that says lightweight champion. I think I won. Sullivan jabbed a quick decisive move just as Sullivan delivered a stinging punch. I got my blow in, landing a sting. Sullivan span about and fell backwards onto the floor of the van, defeated. Generous hands scooped me into the air. Excellent show, Monsieur Fogg beamed, displaying a violent burst of character. Most impressive. Sullivan was rubbing the side of his head and cursing in a version of English I did not recognize. I shook his hand as he was carried to a compartment to lie down. I believe this makes you lightweight champion of North America, Monsieur Fogg remarked to me. What's the point? We have won a little from a wager or two. £2,000, in fact! Oh my god. That's actually incredible. That's a lot of money. That's a very nice amount of money. After all these setbacks, I'm actually really glad that one worked out okay. I will note I've done that boxing, I guess you could call it a mini-game before. If you can kind of tell from the dialogue there that it's all kind of a bit... The way it all kind of doesn't necessarily always fit together quite right, depending on what actions you've taken. It's like, it's not as well scripted as the rest of the game, because it's kind of... it's reactive to based on different combinations of things, really. So yeah, I've not won that one before. That's kind of cool. Yeah, £2,000. That's okay. I'll take that. Yay, we should converse. I need to find some things out. We need to see if there's any ways to get from New York to where I want to be. Greetings, Monsieur Lagarde. Goods, please. What can you tell me about New York? Have you heard that you can get to London from New York? Yes, that's what I wanted to know. The fare is over £5,000. Do you know how much money I have? It's over 5,000. Seriously, if that just lands me back at London with zero money, I'll be the happiest man. I would like to know more about this Henrietta. Can you tell me about Henrietta? I would like to know these things. Yeah. Is there any other topics that are of any interest to us? Not really, I don't suppose. Tell me more about London? I know a fair bit about London, but okay. That's beyond my remit, monsieur. Now anyway, you seem to be in a terrible hurry. No hurry. I would not say that, monsieur. Good, you know what they say. Haste makes waste. More about New York. Could not possibly tell you anything about that. Don't really need to know much about any of these. These are all back. I mean, we've just gone through Washington. I don't know why I would want to get there. Ottawa, Atlanta, Winnipeg's all kind of going the other way. One almost kind of gets the impression that these conversations are designed for the ambitious person who's attempting to do this journey the wrong way around the world, which I think is an option. That's actually not something I've ever attempted, but I think it's an option. Can I get from New York to Atlanta? Apparently the way to Atlanta is through Washington. Okay, fair enough. Can one get from Atlanta to Chicago? From Chicago to Winnipeg. You're a very talkative man. Most people don't talk to me for this long. Ask about Winnipeg to Regina. I doubt it. Oh, I think I'm pressing the wrong options. I was assuming the yellow ones were the ones we had unlocked. It's the yellow ones that we need to inquire about, isn't it? Winnipeg to Calgary. Ottawa pay well for teeth from Calgary. Very good. All good. That's the route I want. That's the one he told me about. That's the £5,000 one. I awoke, still smarting from my boxing match with Sullivan, and my master most generously decided he would fetch breakfast. You are most kind, monsieur. Indeed, he replied. We can't have you dropping the tray. He returned with a black coffee and well-buttered toast. A most considerate choice to bring to a Frenchman, or at least so I thought until he began to eat the toast himself and drank the coffee in a slurp. We arrived into New York later that day. I struggled to lift the cases with my tired arms, and we staggered off the train. Oh, relations have deteriorated slightly. Okay. When can we go? When does this go? Arrives Thursday. Departs at 3 PM. Oh, embark. Go. Higher space. Go. It's... How much is this? 5,300? Yes, I can afford this. We can do this! It only takes 2 days! Oh my god, we're going to make it in really good time. Oh my god, I'm going to finish this thing. I can scarcely believe it, actually. We left New York aboard the Henrietta, an old Confederate airship. I didn't even stop at the market, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have had much time. I didn't check the clock. All I saw was thing leaves today, which was really deceptive because Fogg said there are no departures today. And there was the explore option there, which made me think it was going to leave tomorrow and I was going to have to stop at a hotel. Kinda glad I didn't, because, yeah, it just popped up and was like, hey, Henrietta's here. Do you want to go now? And I was like, yes, I do. So I missed everything that New York had to offer there. Sorry, New York. In a bit of a rush. We left New York aboard the Henrietta, an old Confederate airship converted to a transatlantic mail carrier. We would reach London in 3 days, barring any unexpected delay. 3 days? It's Tuesday. It arrives on Thursday. Do I know my days wrong? It seems like 2 days to me, but okay. Unless they're counting Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Converse. Let's have a chat. Monsieur Fogg, what is your wish? Is something the matter? How are we doing? There's still a few days left to us. We cannot afford to lose a single day. I'm concerned about our wallets. I fear we are desperately low. You'll have to earn some. Nah, I think £266 will get us back to the Reform Club. From, you know, wherever this lands in London. I'll grab a taxi. It's a short jaunt across town. You can call an Uber. Whatever the steampunk equivalent of an Uber is. The ocean tore along beneath us. I enjoyed talking to no one, and there was nothing I needed to know. No one to charm, flatter, or beguile us into giving us aid. There was only the wind and the time, and we could control neither. Passepartout, my master demanded. Make us go faster, if you would. Oh no! This never ends well. I approached the captain. Faster, you say. It can be done, but it would destroy the engines. We want no risk, no danger. Then I promise you we will be in London in 2 more days. Oh, so actually my relationship improved with Fogg because I actually made the effort, as opposed to, you know, straight up ignoring him. And he was like, nope. Do not blow up this airship over the middle of the Atlantic. I do not want some adventure through Greenland and then to try and find transportation from Greenland to London in the remaining 10 days. Not happening. No. Monsieur Fogg, your mustache wants shaping or something, I don't know. Monsieur Fogg looked out of the observation deck windows with perfect calm, and there was no reason to be concerned. We were safely within our 80-day window. I could not wait to stride into the Reform Club and claim our prize. I spent the remaining time ironing, which is a great solace to an uneasy soul. Nearly there, oh my god, we're nearly there. We tethered at the airship dock in Hyde Park and felt for the first time in 66 days the feel of English soil under our shoes. At long last we had returned to London, and in good time to win the wager. This is actually a different way. Every time I've ended this game, on the few times I have finished it, I've always seemed to have ended winding my way back up through Africa and then Portugal every single time. So there's actually a new way to get to the end of it, and it's surprisingly uneventful. It seems like everything else in the game is super action-packed, interesting things happen at every step along the way, and then it doesn't matter which way you end this, actually. It just seems like the last sort of leg home is always just like, yeah, and then we got on a vehicle and went somewhere. Nothing happened on that airship. Well, it seems like there was, I suppose, the potential for something to have happened. I guess if I talked to the boiler attendant would have been less cautious than the captain, and we might have exploded the airship and landed in Greenland. That could have happened, I guess. At any rate, we're back. Welcome to London. Da-da-da-dum. We didn't have to visit the bank. We visited 20 cities, and I completed a trip. Jeeves. And we did it in under 80 days. In fact, we did it in under 70 days. I wonder how many other achievements there are for doing it in under day counts. That's intriguing. I need to go look at the chiefs for this game. Every other playthrough of this has been on mobile, which is why I've unlocked all the chiefs on this playthrough. London. Let's return. I seized my master by the collar and threw him into one of the steam carriages idling on the banks of the Serpentine in Hyde Park. To the Reform Club, I shouted, throwing £50 at the driver as inducement to speed, and you'll have another 50 when we arrive. Yeah, I actually did take the £100 out of my bank account. That's fair enough. I was just intrigued to see whether that actually would or not. It turns out it did. There was no need for such unseemly haste, Passepartout, my master noted, but I was a man possessed. The streets of London seemed comforting and familiar as they flashed past my well-travelled eyes. The carriages were mostly horse-drawn, and gas lamps rather than electricity lit our way as we raced down Pall Mall. The carriage barely shuddered to a steam-hissing stop before I dragged my master from his seat and up the steps to the imposing doors of the Reform Club. I released him only when we reached the great saloon, where my master's erstwhile friends stood from their chairs, gaping in an attitude of great shock. Monsieur Fogg only straightened a little and said, in his calm voice, "Gentlemen, here I am." The room erupted into cheers. Where had the crowd come from? Had they followed us inside from the street? I had scarcely noted them. I realized, as though a spell had suddenly broken, that my master had won his wager of £20,000. As a profit of over 16,000, hardly a meagre sum. My heart began to beat again, and I saw for the first time the crowds who had forced their way into the club to witness the momentous occasion. A journalist in a dark blue bonnet caught my eye. "And you must be the loyal valet Passepartout," she said. "Ah, madame, you have a sharp eye, for indeed I am," I bowed with a flourish. "All of London has been feverishly following Phileas Fogg's progress in the papers." That would explain all the headlines. She swept her gaze over me and scribbled furiously in her notebook. Your master will be tomorrow's headline, or I'll eat my hat." "It is a fine hat," I agreed. She laughed. "Then I will be glad not to have to eat it." I pushed my way through to Monsieur Fogg, who had been nearly swallowed by the congratulatory crowds. "You've won the bet, monsieur," I told him, as though saying it aloud once more would make it more real, and then repeated the sentiment again for good measure. Monsieur Fogg pressed my hand warmly and did not remark even once upon the impropriety of my gesture. Indeed, though his cool gaze did not so much as waver or soften, I believe he welcomed the chance to shake my hand. "I thank you for your services, my valet, Passepartout," Monsieur Fogg said coolly. "Though you did not perform your duties with particular skill, you were not particularly incompetent either. Steady mediocrity is a quality I admire in a servant." Wow! Is that a compliment? Is that steady mediocrity? That's what I can aspire to. Steady mediocrity. Oh my god. Oh dear. With Monsieur Fogg, one had to take one's compliments as they came. Indeed, it seems as though it was intended in a positive manner. "Mr. Fogg," the blue-bonneted journalist cried, interrupting our conversation. "What next for the great adventurer Phileas Fogg and his loyal valet Passepartout?" My master looked at me. I returned the glance. "I've always wondered what is at the centre of the earth." I looked around at faces of the assembled crowd and quirked an eyebrow. Anyone care to make a wager? Monsieur Fogg refrained from rolling his eyes. "I believe," he said with great deliberation, "that tonight I will have supper and go to bed. Come, Passepartout, it grows late." "Yes, Monsieur Fogg," I said, and followed. "Your journey round the world is complete." And there was another reference to a Jules Verne book. These endings are always very, very subtly different. It's always just a little bit different. I don't remember a mention of the journey to the centre of the earth before. So, yeah, cool. I like these things. Celebrated Englishman Phileas Fogg wins round the world wager. Journey completed in 66 days despite the sheer size of the world. And a cursed Baghdadi dagger. And cholera. And, lest we forget the little incident in Russia that set me back a lot of days. Honestly, if things had gone well, yeah, I feel like we could have done that, like, way faster. Could we have done that in, like, 50 days? Probably. Probably somewhere in that region, I'd have thought. Cholera was a major setback. It didn't offer me the opportunity to boil the water for Monsieur Fogg, which is I've established in the past one of the main ways of avoiding cholera. Yes, we could have shaved, well, again, probably 5 to 10 days off there, and probably 10 to 15 days off. Christ, we could have done it under 50, I'm quite sure, if we hadn't had the cholera and the Russian incident. And yet, the game seemed to make a big deal about the whole dagger thing. That was like a non-issue. The dagger was just like, oh, hey, we have this dagger. Oh, it's cursed. It's going to kill you. Alright, I'll sell it. Nothing happened. Nothing happened with the dagger. That's hilarious. Oh, superstition. We visited 23 of 169 cities, we travelled a lot of miles, we favoured airships because airships are awesome, we had 16 grand, we travelled 5,700 miles by sea, 12,461 miles by land, 12,271 miles by air, and spent £23,500 and ended polished, but also flamboyant, and with sound valeting, in comfortable relations with fog. Amazing! I want to click that, but I know that I posted on Twitter, and I suppose that would slightly spoil this video, although I'm actually recording this not so long before the video will go up, so maybe it wouldn't spoil it by too much. No, never mind. No spoilers. Continues! Let's do it again! Let's not do it again. Let's not do that again. Yeah, this, I suppose, is where we end things. This has been the end of one of my narrative month things. We're no longer in narrative month, but these things needed wrapping up. There were requests to wrap this thing up, so for at least the benefit of Monsieur Pastafarian, not Monsieur Passepartout, Monsieur Pastafarian. Yeah, there we go. That's the end of things. That is the end of 80 days. I really wanted to finish this series. This is a series I wanted to do for a long time, so I'm kind of happy that I actually finished it and finished it well. So, I'm in a good mood. You got a finished series, which is rare for me, to be honest. And that was fun. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.